It was one of those rare weekends where the world felt simple. The sun was shining, the grass in our front yard was freshly cut, and my daughter was running barefoot, chasing bubbles that floated into the air like tiny magical balloons. Her laughter was so pure that even the neighbors walking their dogs paused to smile. But not everyone in our community saw joy the same way. Across the street lived a woman everyone referred to, behind her back, as HOA Karen. She wasn't an elected official of the Homeowners Association, but she acted like its dictator. She patrolled the street like she owned it, writing angry notes about lawn heights, porch decorations, and the wrong color of Christmas lights. For months, she had targeted my family, snapping pictures of our home, complaining about the sound of my daughter playing, and threatening to report us. That Saturday, her obsession boiled over. My daughter was giggling as she ran toward me, a bubble wand in her hand, when Karen burst out of her house. Her face was red with fury as she shouted about rules and respect. I thought it was just another tantrum, another argument that would end with neighbors shaking their heads. But then, in an instant that will forever scar my memory, she pulled a small handgun from her sweater. My heart stopped. The air went silent. Before I could even react, she raised it, and a deafening bang echoed across the cul-de-sac. My daughter screamed and crumpled to the ground, clutching her side, her bubble wand falling into the grass. I dropped to my knees, scooping her into my arms, blood soaking my hands as I screamed for help. Neighbors froze in shock, some gasping, others fumbling for their phones to call 911. I pressed my trembling hands against the wound, begging my little girl to keep her eyes open. Why would anyone believe that a laughing child playing in her own yard was such a threat that it deserved a bullet? The wail of sirens filled the air, and soon the cul-de-sac was a blur of flashing lights and chaos. Police swarmed Karen's house, wresting the gun from her hands as she shrieked about neighborhood order. The sight of her smirking, even as my daughter was lifted into the ambulance, burned itself into my soul. I climbed inside with my little girl, gripping her tiny hand as paramedics fought to stabilize her. Every second felt like an eternity as I whispered promises, that she'd be okay, that I'd never leave her, that this wasn't the end. At the hospital, surgeons rushed her into the operating room. I was left pacing the waiting area, my clothes stained with her blood, my mind torn between fury and fear. Hours later, the doctor came out, his face serious yet hopeful. The bullet had missed her vital organs by mere inches. She was weak but alive. Tears poured down my face as I thanked every higher power that she had survived. But survival was only the beginning. News spread quickly, and the neighborhood rallied. Parents brought flowers, children drew cards, and even strangers sent messages of support. The HOA, once Karen's playground, distanced itself, declaring her behavior a disgrace to the entire community. The police charged her with attempted murder, and for once, justice seemed to be on our side. But the emotional wounds would take longer to heal. My daughter now feared stepping outside. The front yard no longer her playground, but a reminder of terror. Nights were filled with nightmares, and days were filled with therapy sessions and gentle encouragements that the world could still be safe. As for me, my anger burned like wildfire, but I channeled it into action. I stood at city council meetings, demanding stricter consequences for gun violence in neighborhoods. I shared our story publicly, not for sympathy, but to remind the world how easily obsession and control can turn into tragedy. Karen, once feared, was now despised. A cautionary tale of how cruelty, when left unchecked, can destroy lives. Through it all, my daughter became my inspiration. Even as she healed, she found courage I didn't know an 8-year-old could have. "Mommy," she whispered one night, her voice trembling but steady, "I'm not going to let her take away my happiness." And in that moment, I knew this fight wasn't just about justice in the courtroom. It was about reclaiming the laughter, the bubbles, and the joy that no HOA Karen could ever truly steal.